Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and grab your snacks because we got the longest patch notes video in the history of Overwatch, because today we're going to be looking at every single hero change coming to Season 18, which includes every single hero. At least one new perk is going to be coming to each and every single hero, along with just regular hero changes and balances. So if you want to skip to a specific hero, I will have timestamps in the description below. And if you can do me a favor, you don't even gotta like the video, just share this video with anyone that's wondering, hey, do you know what's happening to my specific main? Share them this video, because it will have their hero change, and this took a very long time to make. All right, let's get it started. First, let's talk about an armor nerf / bug that they've fixed that is very important to know. Armor still reduces incoming damage by 7, but it's only to a maximum of 50% of damage received. And combining damage reduction and armor can no longer exceed 50% unless an ability is past that point. You think of like a Ramantra block or a Hazards block. We're gonna begin with the tank, starting off with our favorite E-girl, D.va, where she removed her heavy rocket major perk, thank God, for the new major perk, Precision Fusion. This is gonna be a new perk where it adds a new ability where if you press this button, it will reduce the spread of her fusion cannon by 75% for 3 seconds. Meaning that you can snipe with D.va. Okay, you don't want to snipe with her, but you can shoot a lot farther with D.va. However, there will be an 8-second cooldown with this ability, so just keep that in mind. Doomfist actually got a rework to his minor perk. Very few reworks to existing perks in this game, but his 1-2 perk now allows him to gain a 2 overfill ammo every single time you rocket punch an enemy into a wall. And for his major perk, he also got a rework to his power matrix, where the damage absorb will now provide the equivalent empowerment punch damage amount to the power block. And like I said, every single hero at least got one new perk, and his new perk Aftershock is going to be replacing his seismic empowerment major perk, where now if you seismic slam onto an enemy, it will slow that enemy down by 30% for 1.5 seconds. That's a major perk? Hanzo got a whole Bible list of changes, not only just to his perk, but also to his jagged wall, where the knockback damage got reduced from 50 to 30, and also the health of the wall got reduced from 400 to 350. But who really even shoots the wall to begin with? And a massive nerf to Hazard is for a spike guard ability, where now it only refills your ammo if you're actually dealing damage from his spike guard ability. So you gotta be right up close to the enemy if you want to reload your ammo. Hazard's also getting 2 new minor perks, kind of 2 new minor perks, but they're actually just changing both of his major perks into minor perks. Deep Leap, that was originally a major perk, and now will only increase the Violent Leap's range by 15%, where previously it was 20%, and the previous major perk, Anarchy's Zeal, the spike guard spikes, and now the lifesteal only gains 25%, where previously it was 40%. And for the 2 new major perks, where one of the major perks, Reconstruction, was a previous minor perk, now the lifesteal whenever you use your spike guard, it now gains an additional resource meter bar, and normally it's supposed to run out, but in my playtest of Season 18, I actually found a glitch where you can just infinitely do this. This will be patched, but I just found this to be funny. And for his actual new major perk, Explosion Impalements, whenever you shoot your primary fire into an enemy a couple of times, there will be a purple bar and some spikes coming out of their body, indicating that they've been marked, and whenever you quick melee or violent leap slash at them, that will explode for an additional 40 damage. The Junkrat Queen is getting a new minor perk and a new major perk. Render Recall is getting changed out for a Rampant Charge. Whenever you use your ultimate rampage, you will get in this thing called Unstoppable, which means that you cannot be CC'd when you use your ult, and whenever you use your ult, it will refresh all of your cooldowns. And for the major perk, Deep Wounds is getting replaced with Willy Willy. I absolutely love that name. And what this does is, for her Jagged Blade, the radius at which it actually applies a bleed effect will be increased by 100%, and it also will deal an additional 30 impact damage when it makes contact with an enemy. Mauga is surprisingly only getting a new minor perk here, where his 2 hearts perk is getting replaced with Pyromaniac. If you ignite an enemy with your incendiary chain gun, this will grant you 50 overhealth, but this can stack all the way to 150 overhealth, not just from one enemy, but maximum of 3. Our favorite horse omnic lady thing, Orisa, is getting 2 new minor perks. Her Heat Dissipator and Fleeting Bulwark is going to get replaced for a Defense Protocol and Mobile Fortification. For Defense Protocol, whenever you ult with Orisa, you will regenerate 100 health per second. This isn't overhealth, this is just regular health. But if you decide to go with Mobile Fortification, if you decide to use your Fortify ability, go into gold form, you will not have a speed reduction reduction, and you also will not have any heat generation, which means you can just spray and pray without having to worry about overheating. Ramattra will be suffering in Season 18. First and foremost, they're nerfing his Revenant's Vortex ability because it will no longer interrupt horizontal movements when it's first affecting a target. Along with that, his Nemesis form will just be getting a reduction of armor points from 300 to 50. His block, more importantly, will now have a 1 second cooldown, similar to like Sigma's shield, and then you stop holding the block button. You will now have to wait 1 second before you can actually block again. But the changes don't stop there because he is getting a new minor perk. His prolonged barrier is getting replaced with Relentless Form. Now whenever your Nemesis form is activated, eliminations will extend his big boy form by 1 second, and if you're ulting, his annihilation will actually be extended by half a second if you get a kill while you're ulting. Reinhardt's also getting a new minor and a new major perk. For Crusader's Resolve, this is going to be going away for Barrier Recharge. This is pretty cool. Depending on the distance at which you travel, will regenerate your barrier field by 150 points per second. So feeding Reinhardt mains. Now there's no excuse for you not to use your shield. And he's getting a new major perk. Instead of Crushing Victory, he's getting Ignited Fury. Now whenever you fire strike an enemy, you will increase your attacking speed for 2 seconds with Reinhardt. And this can stack. So if you hit 2 enemies with a fire strike, you'll get 4 seconds of increased attacking speed. Hit 3 enemies with a single fire strike, 6 seconds, so on and so forth. All right, Roadhog mains, here is the infamous Roadhog rework. Even though they're not calling it a rework, they're just calling it a D-work, basically. They're reverting Roadhog to his old ways. He now has his primary and secondary fire back in Overwatch 2, but they are removing his pick pen ability. No! But you might be wondering, is he able to one-shot enemies like he used to back in Overwatch 1? No, he can't. Still has his take a breather ability, and that's the rework, guys. Sorry, Roadhog mains, but you're back in F tier. Well, at least you have a new minor and a new major perk, because his pent-up minor perk is going to replace with Shrapnel Launcher. This will actually extend the range for his secondary fire by 50%, and it will tighten the burst by 25%. Meaning that you can kind of snipe with Roadhog. That's an exaggeration, but that's the best way to describe it. And his major perk, Hydrogen Exposure, is getting replaced for another favorite perk of mine, Pulled Pork. Now, whenever you use your chain hook ability, depending on the distance, it'll give you overhealth for a maximum of 250 overhealth. Sigma, just like his personality, is getting a very boring change here, where he's only getting a new minor perk, Hyper Regeneration. This is replacing his Massive Impact perk, where now 50% of the damage that you do from your primary fire will restore part of the experimental barrier's health. And this will be applied when the barrier is retracted and when it's put out into the battlefield. And glory to Jeff Kaplan, because Winston is finally getting his Short Circuit minor perk replaced with a new minor perk, Barrier Toss! What the fudge was that? So you're able to throw your bubble with a Winston, but it doesn't go far. If you just press the button, it'll go maybe a meter, maybe 2. Now, I try to throw this far, and the best way to like throw it farther is to like leap and jump, but at that point, it's just like the old bubble. You're just leaping and jumping to begin with. Blizzard, please buff this so you can at least throw it from a standstill of like 10 meters. Hammond is getting a new major perk. His transfer efficiency is getting replaced with Adaptive Barrier. Now, you might not see it on the surface, but he actually gets a bubble around his Wrecking Ball for 1.4 seconds, consuming 50 overhealth. It's kind of cute, but for a major perk, I don't know. And Zarya is also only getting a 1 minor perk change, where they're replacing her Graviton Crush for Energy Converter, where if you hit an enemy with your secondary fire, you generate 3 energy, and then if you hit another target, you'll have now 6 energy, 9 energy, so on and so forth. It's basic math here, guys. Moving on to the DPS here, starting off with a favorite cowgirl, Ashe, where her new minor perk, Remote Detonator, is replacing Rapid Fire. With this perk, you will now be able to manually detonate the TNT after a 0.5 second delay, and this is going to be very helpful. Say if the TNT is behind a shield, now you can detonate it because, well, beforehand you would either have to wait or shoot it. Bastion, just like Ashe, is getting a new minor perk. Instead of Smart Bomb, you will have Reconfiguration Reload, where the cooldown for your grenade will get reset if you transform. So beforehand, if you shot a grenade and transform, you would still have to wait the cooldown, but if you have this perk equipped, you will have a second grenade ready for you to go. Cassidy, okay, so Okay, first of all, he's getting a nerf to his base health, getting it reduced from 275 to 250, and for his minor perk, Quick Draw, it's getting replaced with Bang Bang. This was originally a major perk where you got 2 flashbangs, but now you will still have 2 flashbangs, but both of the damage of the flashbang is getting reduced from 40%, where previously it was only 30% reduced. Because now he has a new major perk called Silver Bullet. Well, this is a new ability where if you press this, you will zoom in slightly with your Peacekeeper, and I figured this was the only way that we could test out Silver Bullet, by zooming in and showing off the piercing shot that inflicts a bleeding effect that gets reset if you combat roll or if you Deadeye. Now this does replace your secondary fire, so if you're not a Fan the Hammer fan, get it, Fan the Hammer, I'll stop. Then you like this skill shot. Now this can headshot and this can be shot from long distance, but there is a massive fall off damage if you shoot this from far away. Echo is getting 2 new minor perks and a rework to whatever major perks. So friendly imaging and enhanced duplication is getting replaced with Focus Rush and Partial Scan. Focus Rush, simply put, increases the focus beam distance by 4 meters, and whenever you activate your beam, you as Echo will have a 10% speed increase. Really? Only 10%? But if you decide to go with Partial Scan instead, if you duplicate an enemy, you will already have 50% applied to your ultimate. And for a major perk Full Salvo, this is already an existing major perk, but they're just reworking it where there's no longer a damage reduction to any of the sticky bombs. Now you have the full damage for all 9 sticky bombs. Freja is getting 2 new minor perks and a new major perk. So Frostbolt and Tracking Instinct is getting replaced with Hunter's Instinct and Momentum Boost. Hunter's Instinct, like the name suggests, if you make direct impact with your secondary fire take aim on an enemy, it will reveal the enemy through walls for 3 seconds, similar to a Widowmaker ultimate. And for Momentum Boost, this is really simple. The quick dash distance is increased by 20%, which is only a couple of extra meters. And for a new major perk, Ready Hunt is getting replaced with Aerial Recovery, where if you updraft, you will be able to self-heal as Freja for the time that you're in the air. Now you can just simply updraft and recover for maybe about 100 health or so, but if you use a couple of quick dashes and stay in the air, this could allow you to recover for her full health. You just have to stay in the air and potentially get shot by widows. Okay, so Genji's new perks are really, really good. So he's getting a new minor perk. Instead of acrobats, you now have swift cuts. Whenever you melee an enemy as Genji, you will reduce the cooldown for your swift strike ability by 3 seconds. Do it twice, you'll basically have a new swift strike ability. And you can melee multiple enemies with only 1 melee. So if you melee 2 enemies, you'll have a new swift strike ability. This is insane. Oh yeah, and they also reworked his blade twisting perk, where now if you swift strike an enemy, it'll deal 25 additional damage over time, but only if the enemy is below half health. His lesser half brother Hanzo also got some changes. He's getting a new minor perk called Swift Lunge. Depending on how much you charge his bow and arrow will determine how much cooldown is getting reduced for his lunge ability. This is way less cooler than Genji's new perk. And his Yamagami technique major perk is getting replaced with scatter arrows. Yeah, this is his old minor perk where now you actually shoot 5 arrows dealing 33% damage each, and it also bounces 1 extra time, but it'll never hold a candle to the old scatter arrows of Overwatch 1. These are baby scatter arrows. Junkrat is getting a new minor perk and a new major perk. Mine Recycling is replacing his aluminum frame perk, where now after you get a killing blow with your concussion mine, it'll reset one of the charges for his mine. But you have to get a killing blow. You can't just do damage and then shoot with a grenade. You have to get it with your mine. And TikTok is getting replaced with Bomb Voyage. I love that name. Now whenever you launch yourself with concussion mine, you as Junkrat will increase your attacking speed by 35% for 3 seconds, but you have to launch yourself with the mine. You can't just throw the mine and have that be considered using the mine. No, you have to actually launch yourself. We saw some of May's new perks in the trailer, but she's actually getting 2 new minor perks. Instead of having Body Cold and Permafrost, you now have Skating Rink or Glacial Propulsion to choose from. All of which I really do not like. For Skating Rink, whenever you use your ultimate as Mei, allies, including yourself as Mei, will increase your movement speed by 25%, and you will heal for 50 health per second. Great support for an ultimate that is meant to freeze your enemies. And then we have Glacial Propulsion, a new ability where if you use this ability, you'll spawn a single pillar wall that will leap you higher into the air as Mei, but this does does apply a cooldown effect for your normal wall. If this was its own separate ability without affecting your wall ability, this would be a great perk, but it does affect it, and not in a good way. Pharah is surprisingly only getting a new major perk where her concussion implosion is going away in favor of Sky Spy. This is a very interesting perk where if you concussion blast an enemy, not only will you reveal the enemy for 3 seconds through the wall, but the next direct impact that you make with the enemy will deal an extra 30 damage to them. Reaper's getting a new give and take minor perk. Instead of having death shadows, you have shadow blink, where if you shadow step with Reaper, you will shadow step 25% faster, but you will also have a reduced distance of 25%. Sojourn's not only getting changes to her perks, but also just herself. Her base health is getting reduced by 25 points. Previously it was 250, now it's 225. Her railgun is getting an increase of shots per fired from 15 to 16. What? And her power slide cooldown is getting reduced by a second. Previously it was 8 seconds, now it's at 7? Huh? And she's getting a new minor perk and a new major perk. And boy, you're gonna be scared of this major perk. But first, her minor perk, Extended Mana, is getting replaced with Declaration Field, where now if you hit an enemy with your Disruptor shot, it'll be slowed by 25%. And instead of having Adhesive Siphon, you now have Friction Generators, where if you power slide, which again got buffed, you will now gain 50 charge to your railgun shots, which means you could do something like this to a squishy. Oh my god, we're now in Sojourn Wash era again. Well, after seeing who's gonna be meta in Season 18, we're gonna move on to Soldier 76's changes, where he's getting a new minor perk called Tactical Salvo. This is replacing Field Emergency, where if you use your Tactical Visor ultimate, your Helix Rocket cooldown will be reduced by 80%, making it basically like a 1.5 second cooldown or something like that. And his major perk Stimpact is getting a slight rework. Now whenever you use your Stimpact, it'll just replace your Biotic Field, heal yourself as Soldier 76 for 30 health per second, and you'll gain an attacking speed of 20% for 5 seconds. Thank you, because this was one of the lamest major perks, applying an anti to him. Sombra's getting a new major perk. Instead of being able to hear your teammates with White Hack, you will now have Adept Hacker. Whenever you hack a health pack, you yourself as Sombra would gain 50 overhealth from that health pack, but you have to actually grab the health pack to get that overhealth. Symmetra's getting a awesome new nostalgic major perk, but first we gotta look at her new minor perk, which is called Perfect Alignment, which was her old major perk. Now, if you choose this perk, it'll only increase your photon projector range by 20% regardless of the charge beam. So if you're at level 3, it'll be the same distance increase as it was in level 1. But for her new major perk, Hovering Barrier, some of you OGs might remember this, but she's gonna now get a shield that moves forward, just like how Symmetra 2.0 or 3.0, how it was way back in the day. But an added feature about this is that if you press the shield button again, you will be able to slow this very, very drastically. Now, it will go away eventually, just like how if you don't press the E ability, but nonetheless, it's still fun to see this ability back in some way, shape, or form in the game. Torbjorn is getting one of my favorite new perks in the game, replacing his Craftsman minor perk with Hammer Time. And like the name suggests, if you have your hammer out as Torbjorn, you will gain a 20% movement speed increase with him. Trista's getting a normal change to her recall cooldown, where they're increasing it from 12 seconds to 13 seconds, and for her minor perk change, they're actually going to be replacing Blast from the Past with Kinetic Reload. Now, whenever you melee with Tracer, you will gain 20 ammo, but you will not go over 40. So if you have 20 ammo in your clip, you melee, you will now have 40. If you have 30 bullets in your clip and you melee, you will only have 40. You will not gain all the way to 50. Venture here, and they have a new minor perk and a new major perk. Instead of Seismic Sense, thank God, they're giving them Deep Burrow. Now, whenever you drill dash underground, the distance at which you drill will increase by 50%. And the major perk Smarter Excavator is sadly going away for Smart Extender. I really like the old name, but I really like this new major perk because if you press E or whatever button it is on console, you will extend the range drastically with their primary fire, increasing the range by 100% for 4 seconds, making you a sniper with Venture. So I'm torn starting with liking Widowmaker's perks. I like her new minor perk, Sniper's Instinct, which replaces Focus Aim, where now if you grapple with Widowmaker, the scope charge shot charges 100% faster for 2 seconds, allowing you to get 2 shots a whole lot quicker than if you just were not to have this perk. That's cool, but her major perk, Deadly Dukes, is getting replaced with Seeker Mine, where the Venom Mine now fires a poison dart to an enemy within 10 meters. It remains active after triggering, but the mine can still get destroyed, so I don't know how I feel about this as a major perk, maybe as a minor perk. Moving on to the real sniper of Overwatch in the support category, Ana. She's getting a new minor perk and a new major perk. Now whenever you nano somebody as Ana, you yourself as Ana and that target will get an additional 40% movement speed boost. And her Strike major perk is getting replaced with the old minor perk, Biotic Bounce. Now whenever you throw 2 biotic grenades, it'll either deal 60 damage or it'll heal up to 25. I really like Baptiste's new minor perk because instead of having Field Medicine, you now have Biotic Reloader. Now whenever you hit a full 3-round burst clip on an enemy, it'll reload one of your heal bullets by 1. So you have to hit 3 bullets to get 1 heal bullet back. And this works vice versa. If you make direct impact with an ally with your heal bullet, you'll reload your 3-round burst gun by 3. And his other minor perk, Automated Healing, is getting a slight rework where if you use any of his abilities, the healing thing on his back will be triggered, firing 3 shots at an ally, healing them for 25 health per shot. Brigitte is getting a new minor perk and a new major perk, replacing Barrier Restoration. It's Combat Medic. Doing melee damage on an enemy reduces the cooldown for your repair packs by 0.5 seconds. This is actually a really good minor perk because you already do this with Brigitte. Now you just get added benefits. And replacing your major perk Quick Fix is Inspiring Strike. When you shield bash with Brigitte, you gain 30% increase to your movement speed for 2 seconds, and the Healing Inspire is activated instantly whenever you shield bash an enemy. Illari showed up in the trailer somehow, and I say somehow because she's getting a new major perk, and only one new major perk, Solar Flare. This is replacing Solar Power, where if you use your healing beam, you will now be able to have this new ability where it will just heal all your allies in front of you for 120 health. But it does consume all of your energy, so be sure to use this perk very wisely. But unlike Illari, Juno's getting a whole slab of new perks. Locked On, which is her old major perk, is now a minor perk, replacing Reboots. However, whenever you make contact with an enemy or ally with your torpedoes, it'll only reduce the cooldown for your torpedoes by 1 second, where previously it was 1.5 seconds. For new major perks, Juno's losing Master Blaster in favor of Liftoff and Faster Blaster. Liftoff is a major perk that allows Juno to triple jump, so before you can only double jump, now you can triple jump, and Faster Blaster, just like what we saw at Gamescom, whenever you have your glide activated, you're going to be able to have your Mini Blaster be full auto. No burst, no nothing, just have a full mini blaster, but only when gliding. Remember that, only when gliding. Kiriko is going to be losing one of the best perks in the game. Her major perk, Shuffling, is going to replace with Ready Step. So now whenever you Swift Step as Kiriko, you will gain a 40% increase to your attacking speed and reload speed, but only for 2 seconds. God dang it, this sucks. And they are going to be slightly reworking her Foxtrot major perk, where if you use your Cleansing Grenade on an ally and yourself as Kiriko, it'll only give you an increased movement speed of 30%, where previously it was 40%. However, you will gain a 100% increase to your cooldown recovery. So that's pretty cool. Lifeweaver is getting a slight nerf to his base health, where now it's down from 225 to 200, which is the old health of Overwatch. And he's getting a slightly new minor perk, but a new major perk. His Life Cycle minor perk is getting replaced with the old major perk, Life Weaving, where if you dash with Lifeweaver, you would gain 40 extra charge to your flower. Well, now you only gain 20 charge to your next flower given to an ally. His actual new major perk, Pedal Power, whenever you stand on a pedal platform, you and an ally will gain 25% attacking speed, but only on that raised pedal platform. They're really trying to make this pedal platform work, man. Reddit Lucio mains, you're gonna love Lucio's new minor perk, because instead of having base blowouts, you're now gonna have Soundwave Rider, where if you wall ride, it'll charge this new UI beam, where if you reach this max level, you will then have an empowered sound wave, knocking the enemy back by an increased distance by 25% and increased damage of 50%. But you have to fully charge this resource meter, similar to Doomfist. If you only charge it halfway, you will get none of the benefits. Oh, people are gonna hate Mercy's new minor perk because this is an increase to her slingshot mechanic. So Divine Momentum is replacing Winged Reach, where now if you use Guardian Angel and like cancel it or you boost with it, it'll increase the travel speed by 15%, just making her even more agile and annoying to deal with. But if you don't hate Mercies, you're gonna hate DPS Moiras, who are also gonna have a ball with Moira's new perk setup. So she's getting 2 new minor perks replacing Vanish and Uprush, is Destruction Divide and Ethical Nourishment. With Destruction Divide, you can now toggle between only doing healing with her ultimate or only doing damage. Now, why would you only want to do one or the other? Because you will get a boost of 25% if you decide to do one or the other, which means all the DPS Moiras are only going to be doing damage with her ultimate, bro. This sucks. This is actually just a nerf for the Overwatch community, because you know no Moira is going to choose Ethical Nourishment. This is her old major perk where it'll instantly heal an ally if you throw a healing orb at them for 30 health, where previously it was 50. Oh, but it don't end there, because she technically got 2 new major perks, Reversal and Phantom Step. So Contamination is getting replaced with Reversal, where you can now change the direction in which the orb goes, but only once. So if you input the orb button again, it'll go backwards, it'll go forward, side to side, whatever the 180 direction is. And Phantom Step is a major perk that combines both of her old minor perks, where now Fade lasts 0.5 seconds longer, and the boost jump is now heightened by 50%. Wuyang is surprisingly only getting a small amount of changes. First of all, this is going to quality of change where you're now able to control his water controlling orb with quick melee. Rushing Turn is getting a massive boost where the initial boost on activation is increased by 50% and the height that you gain is increased by 2 meters. His Guarding Wave is getting a slight nerf where the maximum range is getting decreased by 5 meters in favor of the buff where the shockwave drop height is increased from 3 meters to 20 meters. And for his ultimate Tidal Blast, if you use it on yourself, the casting time is getting reduced from 0.8 seconds to 0.6 seconds. And finally, the last and final hero change is Zenyatta. So they are changing his Transcendence ultimate, where the cost is getting reduced by 9%, the only hero getting an ultimate nerf, and he's getting a new minor perk and a new major perk. Zenith Kick is getting replaced with Transcendence Contamination, where if you use your ultimate as Zenyatta, you will then be able to apply Discord Orbs on the enemy, but only if you're in the proximity of that enemy. If you leave that enemy, the Discord Orb goes away. And remember, this is an ultimate meant for your allies. But for his major perk Duality, it's getting replaced with Dual Harmony, where you're able to throw 2 Harmony Orbs on an ally, but they both have an effective heal rate of only 70%. And hot gamer boys and egos everywhere, those are all the hero changes in Season 18. Please share this video with somebody because this took a long time to make. My throat hurts. Pause. I'll see you guys later. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching Overwatch. 2 videos to come, and bye.